This is Laugh or Death, hosted by keynote speaker Paul Ozenkup.
My guest today is Erin Pash, therapist, empire builder, and my favorite Minnesotan. She's a multi-venture entrepreneur with more ideas per hour than there are minutes. And she's a mom of 6 human beings and countless cats. Erin spent 20 years shaking up mental health care. She founded Ellie Mental Health in Minneapolis and built it into 270 plus locations across 42 states. And then thought, why stop there? She's now the founder and CEO of Pash Company, a social health incubator, turning what if into what's next. And she's just a full-time force of nature who's proving that mental health can be professional and have personality. So, Erin, I am stoked to see you again. Stoked to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here, Paul.
Yeah, it's been a while, and well, let's just kind of get started. Let our listener kind of hear a little bit about you. And so I always start with the first question to get to know you a little bit. So, Erin, what is something weird about you that you love, or something weird that makes you happy?
Okay, so it's like a crossover of mental health and just complete ridiculousness. And I'm sure you've heard of this term, cute aggression.
Yeah.
So it's this idea when something is like so overwhelmingly emotional that you have to like take from a different bucket of feelings. So I am like the ultimate cute aggressor, and I make up little songs about my kitties and my children, and I do it to everyone. And I've actually made this face so hard once that I chipped my tooth, because I am serious. I had to get a little fix right here because I chipped my tooth from cute aggressing so hard.
You look like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber with like the little missing tooth. That's awesome.
It looked, and I did it too at an event where I was looking at like a cute baby, like a public event. It's like, and I looked at my friend, I'm like, did I just chip my tooth? And they're like, yes, Erin, you need to stop the jaw. I'm like, I cannot stop it. And my whole body tenses up, and I start singing cute little songs, but I want to work the cute things.
That little baby's so cute. I'm gonna gnash all my teeth out and rip out my fingernails.
And then punch it in the face.
It's funny you say the punch it in the face, because I have a yellow lab, and he's 2 now, and he's just the cutest guy. And sometimes he comes up and I feel that way, and I tell him, because I ball up my fist, and then he rubs his face on my fist, and I go, sometimes I just want to punch you in the face. You're so cute. No. So I definitely get the cute aggression thing. And to this point, I have not punched him in the face. So.
Oh, I've never harmed any of the animals or the babies or anything. But like I take it really far. Like when I look at my dog, I'm like, I'm going to just cut your head right off, and I'm going to put it in a freezer, and then I'm going to cover it in chocolate, and I'm going to deep fry it, and I'm going to eat it with a lollipop.
Oh,
and
you
then
really?
People look at me. Oh yeah, the people are like, Erin, I'm like, it's fine. I'm not going to hurt him. I just love
I love that you just keep adding on to it. And then I'm gonna put it in a package. I'm gonna send it to my grandma, and then she's gonna fry you up and make a pie out of you.
So cute. Yeah, that's my probably most notable weird thing that it's not controllable. I don't try to do this in front of other people who are not in my safe space,
Right.
But it does happen, and there are tooth casualties.
Have you ever scared the crap out of a little kid or a puppy or anything? Like, what is with this lady?
Not a puppy. And usually the babies I have cute aggression over are in that stage of like under 2, so they want me to like attack them.
Yeah.
Or they're like, my kids' ages, so they're 10, and then they love it.
Oh, your 10-year-olds like that. They're like, because I thought maybe by 10 they're like, Mom, stop with it.
I mean, they might not like it, but they at least pretend they like it when I do it to them. Like when I just grab their faces and I just kiss them all over. I mean, everybody loves love.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And they know mom. They know mom's just giving them some love.
Yeah, it's really
great.
I was going to say, it's really cute. My 13-year-old, who's like the science nerdy genius kind of guy. I found an old video in my phone. Like a little time hop or whatever it is where it shows you old videos. And there's one of him singing on like a little karaoke machine when he was maybe 3. And it's like, my mom loves my face. She wants to eat my face. So I used to it.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Thank God. See, Thank God for cell phones now. Like you wouldn't have that maybe in a different time period. So that's funny. She wants
It
to
is.
eat my face. Child Protective Services comes and goes, ma'am, we saw this video at school. What is going on? Oh, don't worry about it. It's just a joke we
It's
have.
fine. It didn't leave a mark.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I was thinking back to when I first came in contact with you, probably 5 or 6 years ago, and
Almost 10 years ago.
okay, well, who's counting, Erin? All right.
Yeah, we're not that old, but
Right. Wow, was it like 10 years ago? Okay, well, oh, great, wonderful. And I was thinking about what it was, and I had come across Ellie Mental Health, which you had founded, and I think what it was that drew me to Ellie was just the irreverent humor that you use in creating this mental health brand. And so I guess I want to maybe start there of like how that came to be and why you kind of leaned into humor as a way to start, obviously a very serious thing, mental health company.
yeah, I think there's so many things that come to mind and like all the things that kind of had to come together for it to just click and make perfect sense to me. And some of it stems from like healthy things and some of it's unhealthy, but for me, a coping mechanism I've used my entire life, which has been a positive for me, has been humor.
Mhm.
Like you can't spell funeral without fun, right? Like that's how I cope with grandma's death, right? So I think when I became a therapist and I started realizing that the way I could relate to other people, when they'd come in and see me with traumatic moments, don't get me wrong, there were definitely tears shed and opportunities to grow and connect, but it was kind of that universal language of this makes me feel better even when it's hard if I can laugh. And so knowing that that's such an authentic human experience and so healing, when I created a brand for a mental health company, it was important for me that we could destigmatize mental health
Yeah.
through humor, like this universal and authentic experience that no matter kind of what you're in makes you feel better.
Yeah, I remember seeing like you guys had merch on your site that like my amygdala makes me anxious, or everybody sucks sometimes, or the like T-shirts and stuff that people could get, and it felt so approachable to me. Like, yes, somebody finally gets it. Like we can just all feel normal about accessing mental health services. And you're exactly right about when you said that our sense of humor, not only coping with humor, but our sense of humor is just such a huge part of the human experience and is just a normal human emotion. And I think that's something that we take for granted sometimes, that like when we suppress that, either going through trying times or going to work, that kind of stuff, it really takes away like part of our identity. We all kind of have some kind of identity around our sense of humor and what makes us laugh and that kind of stuff. Do you see that in like working with clients and working with people in mental health?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times early on I would like, I'm a dark humor person and you kind of have to be in mental health,
Yeah.
especially some of the jobs that I did before private practice. Like, I mean, I remember I was about 8 months pregnant and I had to go see a guy who was newly discharged from kind of the state hospital because he had some really unmanaged symptoms and he did not like having people come to his house and check on him. So I'm 8 months pregnant and he gets real angry that I'm there to see him that day and starts chucking stuff at me down the hall and I'm running and losing my flip-flops. And so like it would be terrifying if you didn't find a way to laugh about it, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, you do kind of have to guess and check. And what's really cool, that same client who was really unapproachable, I finally had unzipped my jacket like one of the visits and he goes, "Oh, what, you got a beer belly over the winter?" And I'm like, "Yep, just keep throwing them back." And so you do kind of find it, and whether it's some of the hardest clients to get to engage or the ones who maybe take themselves too seriously, or sometimes even the ones who joke too much, you can still use humor as this like means of connection.
Mhm.
And you just kind of always have to play with it a little bit. I've also offended people. And I've had to apologize, if I take a
Sure.
joke too far, or, it can be hard especially in the feelings business, where you're kind of just guessing and emoting all at the same time, but I emote differently than you do. And so you also just have to a lot of like humility around if you get it wrong. And I think that's what it takes to be a seasoned therapist, quite frankly, is enough of those opportunities to be able to be like, sorry, I took that a little too far.
Yeah. Well, you said a couple really great things there. One of them though was when the guy said, "Oh, what do you got, a beer belly?" And you did a classic thing that I think a lot of people can learn from, is really an improv technique, which is you just yes-anded it. You know, you heard him like, "What do you got, a beer belly there?" And instead of going, "No, sir, actually, I am pregnant," okay? And that's very offended that you just yes-anded it, like, "Oh yeah, I've been throwing them back," and kind of just upped the ante, heightened the situation and probably normalized his sense of humor coming back at him. And it probably put him at ease a little bit.
100%. And, it opened a door. So instead of him feeling like these are people who were intruding on his life, he got to realize he never really appreciated us, but he got to realize, like, she's just trying to do her job.
Yeah.
Versus, and that's a gift in the behavioral health field when you've got people who really are being, court ordered to engage with you. Like, if they can just have that mutual respect, and it took one moment of humor to get there. I mean, it is those moments. And also, frankly, like, who wants to go to therapy every week? Like the prescriptive environment is go every week until you have some relief, and then you can maintain over a certain schedule to your therapist. But who wants to go every week if you're like, man, this is a drag?
Right.
You know? And so I do feel a little bit like it's my responsibility to sell what I want the person to get out of this experience. And I can't do that if I'm like overly serious and not engaging them for 50 minutes. And it certainly isn't a show that I'm putting on, but it's no different than kind of another, if somebody really believes in a product, but it's hard to get somebody to engage you, you have to be engaging.
Yes. I mean, I think a lot of it, like your favorite teacher, I don't know very many people who their favorite teacher wasn't the funny one or the engaging one or somewhat entertaining to them, right? Like it's
right.
It's just such a nice access point to human connection. Just finding those moments of levity. What makes you laugh? Like you said that humor is a big part of who you are. It helps you cope. Like you said, you're like a dark humor person. Are there certain shows, certain types of online stuff that, like, what really cracks you up?
Okay, so my new favorite thing is literal memes, where it's like, why don't you give yourself some positive affirmations today? That runny nose is actually cerebral spinal fluid leaking out of your brain, or that chest pain you're having is really a heart attack. Like so screwed up, but it makes me laugh. So, because like that's so funny. That's like the exact opposite. So I like stuff like that. I sent that one out. It just came out like this last week to a bunch of people. And I didn't even scroll up and realize that about 10 people sent that one to me because they knew that I would find that to be absolutely hysterical.
That's the best, is when you've got like a humor homie that knows you so well that they're sending stuff to you that you're like, yes, I was just cracking up at this earlier. Yeah.
Yes. Or like those fried Barbie memes. Have you seen those? Where
yes.
Like their hair is just like, I'm just like 100%. Like, or like Barbie's like, the only way I can cope with stress is to do cocaine about it. Like, where I'm like, it's so far out of the realm of anything I would do. I just think it's so unhinged and funny to like slap that on Barbie.
Yeah, that's great. Good. All right. Well, cool. Yeah, I'm glad you're keeping yourself laughing. The other thing.
I also really,
go ahead.
You asked me about TV shows. Have you seen the show Shrinking?
Oh, Shrinking's great. Yes.
Okay, the perfect moment happened. I am also a serious person. I love Broadway musicals. And I have 3 close friends. We call ourselves the Cowgirls. We also like our significant others. But Cowgirls had never seen my favorite show, which is Les Mis. And so it came to Minnesota this last weekend, and I took them. And they loved it. Of course, it's a great show. But if you watch the most recent Shrinking episode, I don't want to have any spoilers, but there's like an ode to Les Mis in it. So it was like serious on funny on serious on funny. And that is like the best funny moment.
I absolutely love shows like that. And Shrinking is such a good example where I'm cracking up. And then in my old age right now, I cry at like United commercials. It's ridiculous. But like the show Shrinking, I'm literally like one scene I've got, it's getting a little dusty in here. And then the next scene I'm cracking up. But I love shows like that because it's like, yes, that's what it is to be a human being. Like, duh.
And it is very representative of like how therapists kind of banter and develop this relationship. And you just, the writing in that show is so money. And it kind of is a little bit like we talked about that Ellie brand of humor. Like they are so authentic in their humaning, and they're striving to make it funny because that's a lot easier to get through hard things. And so your point, like find your people, your humor homies. If you can see back there, there's a picture. I think I'm touching it with my finger.
Yeah.
Those are my cowgirls. We're all therapists. And we do funny JCPenney, funny, awkward portrait sessions every year. And that's one of them.
Yes. I love
So
it.
this is like 90s. We just did one that was super goth. So like, again, like sometimes your funniness needs to go all the way to JCPenney.
And that's something that like you'd probably have up in somewhere like in your office in a serious place. So that's one thing like I mentioned in my book is people always think like in order to have humor at work or whatever, you got to be funny or try to tell jokes or whatever. But it's like literally just having some authentic stuff, like a funny picture of you or your family or your friends or whatever are in and around the office for people to comment on and go, oh yeah, okay, they seem pretty normal, can go a long way in just diffusing tension.
100%. And I think it's so important. And historically, you know, there's been controversy around should therapists self-disclose or should you keep everything really tight? And I always, you know, I've supervised hundreds, if not thousands of budding therapists. And the reality is it's a personal choice. But I have found that my personal style of business person therapist is like just wearing all of me to everything.
Yeah.
Because authenticity really is like it's hard to describe it. It's not brand from a marketing perspective, but it is my personal brand. It's just like be Erin, and if people like it, great, and if they don't, I'll say sorry because I'm a fawner. You know,
You're right. Exactly.
And I'll people please the shit out of that, but I have always found that the more I'm willing to show little parts of me in my professional space, the better it goes for kind of everyone.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned your style. And so this is a quick break from the humor conversation. And you are a huge style fashion person. And for people that don't know you or can't see you, you're always just trying to rock some kind of new style. So I want to ask a couple style questions for you. One, what's the worst style choice you've ever made in your life? Would you look back and go, oh my God?
Oh, well, there's a lot of them. There's a lot. I went through a weird time, especially around having kids, where I decided that truly muumuus were the right choice in public. I burned all the pictures from that time.
You just were like, you know what? I'm going with comfort over style right now.
Yeah, but no, I would try and belt them. So like almost, Paul, the pictures are burned. Okay, they are burned. They are nowhere to be found. There are like 3 people who have a picture of me from this time, and they never miss an opportunity to text them to me and be like, remember when? Ha ha ha.
Was that during your beer belly phase?
Yeah, exactly. I was just, yes, that's exactly when that was.
That's funny. Okay, and then the other question is, let's say you're on a blind date and the person walks in. What's one style choice they would have that would make you just get up and walk out?
Okay, I really cannot stand when men wear baggy jeans. Like at a certain age, you have to wear jeans that are a little bit fitted. You know,
Right.
like you can't just come in like with your little, like the little carpenter hanging thing. It's like such a style thing for me. Like men need to learn how to wear appropriate jeans for their body type.
Yeah, like the baggy, like 90s Pearl Jam.
Like the Jinko jeans.
Yeah,
Or just
oh,
even
yeah,
just,
yeah,
like,
there you go. Yeah.
carpenter jeans, like just anything where it's like, you know, like girls want to see a butt on a guy too. It's not just the girls who need to wear the tight, you know. My husband has like the best jeans and clothing collection now. And he even agrees, like he never would have chosen them for himself, but it's a game changer just in how he even feels in his clothes.
Yeah, he's got the best collection because you're probably back there going, all right, we're switching this out. We're switching this out. Yeah. Okay,
That's
good.
correct.
All right, back to business. So I'm curious, you know, the whole point of this podcast, Laugh or Death, is that humor and laughter just helps buoy us through difficult times. I'm wondering if there's a time in your life when humor showed up unexpectedly, when you were going through a hard time, or maybe how humor has helped you through difficult times in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of all the time. You know, I'm one of those people who doesn't have a really like average life. I have a very high highs and a very low lows.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean is, you know, extravagant, wonderful moments of vacation or success in business followed by like tragedy. And whether it's family members with illness, death, facing really just hard life things with children, like it's never just even. And so humor's helped me with both. I mean, obviously, I would honestly tell you that when life is in the high highs, I'm at a place of serenity, which for me is maybe less funny.
Yeah.
But when I'm in low lows, I am so here's a funny, like kind of a funny moment where you turn tragedy, and it's a smaller moment because, like I don't know your whole audience, so I'm not going to like put the really deep stuff. But my kid was sitting in my bed when he was about 2 or 3, and he leaned back really hard and he broke my nose. And it was like, I've never broken anything. I have a nose ring, and I wear a hoop now, but I used to have like a regular one. And it actually ended up piercing my septum. Blood started filling in the middle. I had to go to the ER. And at the time, we had a nursing student who was living with us who was doing some part-time nannying for our kids. So my husband immediately went and grabbed the nanny. And 2 days before, she was asking me questions about her mental health class, saying, like, how do you screen people for like if they're safe at home and stuff like that. So she comes running upstairs, and I'm bleeding. There's blood everywhere, and I'm leaning over the sink crying. I'm in so much pain. And I just look at her all blood-faced. And so it was just like a perfect diffusing moment where it could have just been like complete. Like I said, like literally she had to take the kids. She had to help me stop the bleeding. Then, my husband was with the kids at the time, and then he had to drive me to the emergency room. Like it was just a really hard moment where in that moment, it still felt like I could reach in the back of my brain to grab that moment to make it funny.
Yeah. And do you feel like in doing that, I mean, what do you feel like that does for you? Like in that moment, being able to grasp that?
Yeah, so it dislodges you. I mean, I could tell you like the true biomechanism that's happening is that
give me the nerd stuff.
Give me the nerd stuff. So when you're in fight or flight, your parasympathetic nervous system is in charge, and therefore it can't recall stuff that you keep in the front part of your brain, like music, humor, math, all that kind of stuff. So if you can train your brain to grab onto something in that more rational part of your brain when you're having a very like survival reaction to like getting injured, it can help snap you out of it so that you can address the crisis situation from a rational perspective versus a purely survival or emotional one. And so I like to say, especially as a forgotten middle child, just kidding, I have the best parents ever, but truly I joke about being a middle child. The way I got attention as a kid was being funny and being like not just obnoxious funny, like being clever funny. And so I believe that I have primed my neural pattern to say, hey, survival for me and getting attention and getting the things that I need is really what's, wired together with humor. And what it does in those moments is like in that one in particular, it like immediately stopped my crying. So I could like stop hyperventilating, and the pain like paused for a minute. And then I was able to like breathe, where in that moment, like you're just, like I said, fight or flight. Like I was attacked. I kind of want to hit my kid, not for cute aggression reasons.
Right.
And it's important. And so when we talk about like coping skills and mental health, like deep breathing and all of that, like those are all learned behaviors. You don't just naturally be like, I'm running for a line, but let me pause so I can take a deep breath. You have to train yourself to how do I calm my parasympathetic and central nervous systems so that I can react in the right way. And humor is no different. And, some people listen to music. The choice to turn on music lives in the rational part of your brain. To count, that's a rational skill to just, like count like you're falling asleep at night or just soothing yourself to count your breath. So humor is the same for me. And that's just the one that I've chosen. They say what fires together wires together.
Yep.
And so I've made sure that humor is the one that fires for me when things get tough.
That it's beautifully said, and I feel very seen with you saying that because I was the youngest, but like grew up in a very volatile household, and so that's why I got interested in this topic is because I noticed that like wow, I really cope, I have gotten myself through a lot of things by finding the humor in it, or just being able to maybe calm other people down with some humor and that kind of stuff. So it makes a lot of sense, and it takes, I think, a long time to get your brain hardwired for humor, but it's just like any other skill, like you mentioned. So yeah, it's beautifully said. I really appreciate that, and I always think of it like there are so many ways to calm our nervous system down, and some people, they do meditation or deep breathing or yoga, but humor is just one of those things. It's like, a different way that a lot of people don't think about. For some people, those things aren't enough or aren't the right fit or require too many essential oils that I'm not going to go buy,
Yeah. Yeah. And I found out the hard way that I have an allergy to frankincense or whatever it's called. So I'm just sticking with humor.
Yeah, there you go.
Feels safer,
Yeah, yeah. Good. Well, I mentioned earlier when you were working with Ellie, mental health, that you all had this merch. And I mentioned there was a shirt that said, "Everybody sucks sometimes." And now that T-shirt, from what I hear, legend has it, is now a book.
It is.
So tell me about the book, "Everyone Sucks Sometimes." Is it everyone or everybody? Everybody sucks sometimes.
Everybody. Yeah, but it's called Everybody Sucks Sometimes, Coping with the Hard Stuff and Embracing Your Perfectly Messy Life. And truly, it's all the things we've talked about today. One of the things that I was told a long time ago was, from clients. It started with clients or family and friends is, Erin, you have a really natural ability to take things that are hard and turn them into digestible ways that people can understand complex things, whether it's in the couple relationships that I help save from infidelity all the way down to the teenager who was like, should I have sex with my boyfriend this weekend? Right? Like just being able to process
How
through.
did you break that one down into something simple?
And well, we talked about the readiness to engage in teenage, sex adventures, right?
That's why you're good at that stuff, because I would have been like, yeah, no, just don't.
No. I mean, I've always prided myself on being honest with teenagers about the risks and rewards, but breaking it down a way that's not like, oh, Erin, the mom's talking about this. It's like, Erin, my cool aunt. And so my book is really, it's over my history, I started as an individual therapist and really did lots of families and couples. Then started building a practice and got to provide mentorship and leadership to the people who worked at Ellie. Then I became a CEO of a national company. And quite frankly, I feel like it's an evolution for my personal brand of mental health. I think I was always meant to do things on a macro level to impact more people than just the people in front of me. But I needed that journey to get there. However, I always have told my clients that once you're my client, you're always my client. If you ever need help, you can always call me. And this actually just happened to me this week. I had a client who I haven't even sent a text to in 5 years. Probably they were in my office 8 to 9 years ago. And she just texted me, I didn't know how else to reach out to, but my 20-something-year-old kid is suicidal. And I just said, call me. And I did. And so I was able to support her, give her tangible advice without crossing over a boundary, right? I'm like, hey, I'm not treating your kid. Here's the things to look for, all that kind of stuff. Here's numbers to providers, but just validating her feelings. And so her answer was, God, I just need more Erinisms in my life. And I've heard that for 10 years. Like, how do we get more of this in between sessions? And so this book, I've probably got 20 books in me, honestly. I love writing, and most people don't know that. But this book is about how can I take all of the yummy goodness of what it's like to be in therapy with Erin that we know helps a lot of people, and that I have mentored a lot of therapists to then put into their therapy rooms, and really is also behind this brand that I created that has helped, hundreds of thousands of people. And how can I put it into a book that can, instead of my reach being a couple 100,000 people, can be infinite numbers of people who could benefit from my breakdown on how we can kind of handle when life gets a little sucky or we get a little sucky sometimes.
That's awesome. And the book's out now? They can get it, or is it coming out?
Not yet. No, this is this whole, you remember, right? With your, the humor habit. I have a publisher. It's Ben Bella Publishers. They're the same people who did Traction by Gino Wickman. And so I was really excited about that because that was one of the few business books I've actually read and found super helpful. But they publish a lot of great books, and it'll be out later this year.
Nice.
And I'm hoping to do some speaking around it too, to kind of, you know that life.
I hear that's a fun gig, doing the speaking. You know what? I always say if you can write, you can speak. I mean, it's basically,
I can't sing though, Paul. I leave that to you. I'll have you come in and close.
I'm such a great singer. Right. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, hopefully we'll be able to get that book soon. And then you've started a bunch of companies, or you're seeding a bunch of companies. Is that right?
Yeah. So right now they're all my ideas.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's all my ideas and all my money. And that was a choice because I learned. I mean, I've already had a successful business that I had one exit from, and I'm still a shareholder and a board member there, and I love Ellie. But this next round felt like, again, more macro system focused. So it's called Pash Company, which Pash is my last name, but it conveniently stands for People Advancing Social Health. And the key differentiator is mental health is about what's happening for you and your brain and your body. Social health is how it's manifesting in your environment. And we don't talk about this term a lot ever, and I'm trying to make it as important of a conversation as behavioral health because we're talking about it with our addiction to technology and loneliness and all these things, but nobody is really addressing it from that framework of, well, this is collective health. Like, this is not just community health. This is literally like how we engage with human beings focused. And so, yeah, we're creating a bunch of really cool products, of course, all with my same kind of funny branding in there. One of my favorites is Caveman to Casanova, and that is a social health app for couples, but it's really geared towards the man. And it came from my years as being a couples therapist. Like, it all started the same way. Couples would usually the woman would call, and we're just talking about heterosexual relationships here. There's lots of varieties of couples, and I've seen them all. But typically, women would call and be like, oh, if I think I'm going to divorce my husband, but we should do couples therapy. And I'm like, ooh, divorce. Like, that's a big deal. It might be too late. And they're like, I don't know. And about 50% of them would get divorced, and they would know at the first session, like, I just need your help, like, lightening the blow. But the other
Right.
50% are like, maybe I don't want this. But women are more likely to seek counsel from friends, from therapy, to read self-help books, to do all the things because that's how we're hardwired. And men are just like kind of oblivious, like, but the sink is working and the garbage is out and I feel like I'm doing a good job.
Yeah,
what
I'll
happens
just try harder.
I'll just like grunt less or maybe more. I don't know what she wants. I don't
Right.
understand.
Yeah.
I have XY. I don't have XX. I don't know how to manage those
Don't
chromosomes.
you know I love you? I take the trash down every Monday.
Exactly. And so what happens though is couples therapy is great. The problem is that women are already 6 or 8 months ahead in knowing how to like fix the problem. So the guy has a lot of work to catch up on.
Yeah.
And so it feels like the guy's just like, now my wife's bitching at me and my therapist is bitching at me.
Yes.
And so there's just not a great way to like engage. And it also takes a lot of time. So between couples therapy and then the couples therapist will refer the guy for individual therapy, but nobody's got time for that and it's expensive. And there's just no really like apps in the marketplace that are for men to do this. There's a lot of ones for couples. There's a lot for women. And I was like, I know exactly what works. And so Caveman to Casanova is for men. And our slogan is like less stress, more spark. It was less stress, more sex, but the Apple Store didn't like the word sex, so we had to change it to spark. But this idea is that women are actually not that hard to understand. And we need to help you learn how to handle that in a non-defensive, like you're in trouble environment, with also helping you address like real goals. Like having sex more in a relationship, like it feels outlandish to be like, well, that's not how connection is made. But if that's what drives a person to feel connected, then it is important we talk about it. And in couples therapy, we don't end up talking about like sex goals until like session 4. And by then we've already kind of lost the guy. And the woman's like, I don't want to talk about sex. And it's just like, the guy needs to get there. And so that's what Caveman to Casanova is. And I love the name Giacomo. Have you seen that meme that's like this kid who's like sneezes and nobody says bless you? And he goes, no, what? No bless yous for Giacomo?
No,
Man, I maybe spend too much time on the internet. But I love the name. And when I
no
think
bless
of a
you
guy
for
named
Giacomo. You sound
No
like
bless yous for Giacomo.
Oh, okay. I thought you sounded like Sebastian Maniscalco for a second there. Like, have you seen these people? Okay, anyway, go ahead.
I'm terrible at accents, but it's just in an Italian, like a little. But I think of when I think of Giacomo, I think of like a suave, romantic, Italian kind of swarthy guy. And so Giacomo is our AI-enabled assistant coach for men. And
sweet.
It's really great. So, and remember, this app is made by couples therapists. So this is not just like people who have done couples therapy, the people who have seen hundreds of people kind of come through. So we use some neuroscience, we use some practice-based evidence and evidence-based practice. And we try and just do it and make it funny. Like, one of our Facebook posts or ads was like, you don't get laid in a landfill. clean up, like make your bed. Like, or you're not bad at listening. You're just extraordinarily committed to not doing it.
It's funny. It's funny you bring that stuff up because I was just, I've been doing a lot of stand up lately, and I was just trying to think of a bit about like camping and how I love to go camping. And I was thinking like, I don't know if it's that I love camping or I just hate vacuuming. And guys will do anything to not clean and clean. Like I would rather live outside than clean the house, And I think that's why I like camping so much is like, hey, I don't have to vacuum. I don't have to do anything. I'm literally outside for 4 days and it's wonderful. And the house, if it was clean when I left, it's clean when I get home. I just have to wash my body.
Do you have any idea how hard it's been for me to not dad joke and be like, that's intense?
Oh yeah, that's like the old joke of when I was talking to my therapist, and I told them that I kept having these dreams. One night I was a teepee, another night I was a wigwam, and my therapist said, "You need to relax. You're too tense."
That's good.
Oh, you actually laughed at that dad joke. All right, good.
Oh, I laugh at all of them. I like any form of humor. Hardwired.
Yeah,
hardwired
right.
to just So yeah, I mean that's Caveman. We've got a couple other businesses, and like one is about getting people to connect face to face, and we kind of use algorithm stuff. It's less funny, but it's really socially impactful. I'm opening dispensaries focused on women's kind of destigmatizing cannabis use for women, which is not a world I really know a lot about. I just believe in kind of anything that can help people feel better.
You could use, and that's Pop Mamas, right? Your cannabis dispensary. You could use those Barbie memes, but instead of cocaine, it's her taking gummies. But instead of her hair all frazzled, you could just make her like relaxed or like kind of giggly or
we totally
whatever.
could.
Yeah.
It's been fun to play with the marketing for that too.
Oh, I bet.
Because you want to be like quasi serious so that it's not, like too overly cannabis culture of like just being, burnouts and stuff. Yeah, but it's been fun to kind of put that together and kind of just, I love to curate an experience. That's what I feel about fashion and stuff too. And every one of my businesses, like, how do I want to feel, right? I'm a therapist. I mean, it's all about feeling. But how
when
do
in doubt, focus on feelings.
Exactly. So I want people to feel a certain way when they come into the store. I want to elicit a certain experience for them. And when you can kind of focus on that and blend it with a side of education or like a healthy dose of humor, you kind of create brands that are super memorable for people.
Yeah, well, you've done an extraordinary job at that, and I think anything that's building social health, emotional health, and well-being, and honestly, I love that you're focusing on bringing human beings together in a connecting way. I know, personally for me, when we moved to Montana in 2019, and then we had like a house fire, then COVID, I knew no one here. And so we were kind of alone in like a temporary house, and I knew nobody in Montana. And it's not like there's a lot of people in Montana anyway. That was the first time in my life that I really felt like I am isolated, and my mental health, because I don't have any connections, was like really took a hit. And I was fortunate to find that we had a comedy club start in town, and started getting involved with them, doing improv classes, teaching improv classes. And I can tell you right now, like that community of people who just like randomly will take improv classes, so many people do it just as a way to meet other people, because we don't know how else to meet other people. And they form these bonds that like, now I have friends. And it's really important to adults these days. So I think what you're doing is huge.
I love that. And you just gave me an idea. So in one of our apps, it's called Talk to My Face. Like literally how literal can you get, besides our call to action is talk to my face.
Nice.
We use phones to get them engaged, which is where the addiction and the dopamine lies, but then we reward them for talking to people's face. But we should put like comedy clubs or improv as one of our categories of things that interest people. We don't have that in there yet, but you're right. Like tons of people given the opportunity. It also is geolocating. So like, for example, if you're walking by one of our improv clubs and people have their Let's Connect location on, we need to, it's a great, I mean, humor is just such a great tool for connection. So thanks for that. I'll make sure we add that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a couple guys in a class I was teaching that said, I asked what brought them to the class, and they said, my wife got me this for Christmas and said, you need to meet people and put me in an improv class. And I was like, that's great, man. So it worked out great. Yeah. So, well, hey, Erin Pash, this has been awesome. And you have created quite the experience here for us and for the listeners. And so I really appreciate it. And best of luck with the new book and all of the companies with Pash Company, and all of the links to those things, and to, if you want to get in touch with Erin, will be in the show notes. So thank you so much. And until next time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Paul. I love this podcast.
You've been listening to Laugh or Death with Paul Ozenkup. If you're planning a conference or event and want something smart, meaningful, and actually funny, book Paul to speak. To learn more or to get a copy of his book, The Humor Habit, visit laughordeath.com.